Hello everyone, this is day 23 of the admin training. In this day we'll talk about that system health. This is the last day of the admin series, and in this day we'll talk about the system health. So if you are playing a role for the system admin, so there are various parameters you need to check daily wise to make your system healthy and up and running. So your production system should be up and running every day. All the users should always access your system. So to do up and running your system, you should do a system diagnosis every day or maybe alternative day. Then we'll talk about that user preferences, we'll talk about that ACL debug, we'll talk about that event queue, email logs, system log, login, and last and not the least, we'll talk about that how we can do the certification. So these are the things we are going to talk about in our today's session. So let's get to the service now, and first we'll talk about that system diagnosis first. So system diagnosis is a process where we can diagnose our system, like how our system is performing. Is there any slow script is running? Is there any too many queue are there? Is our email is enable? All kind of debug also there as part of system diagnosis. So we'll first see that system diagnosis in our ServiceNow environment. As I said that if you are playing a role for system admin, your main job to be up and running your system, and there should not be any kind of error to your system. There is no system where there is no error. Basically, if your system is up and running and multiple user is using the system, there could be various scenario that error occurs. To keep your system healthy and up and running, you need to do certain checks daily or maybe alternative day, right? So first thing first, if you want to debug your system or diagnose your system, you can type the system diagnosis in the left navigation. This is the application called system diagnosis where we can debug multiple various things. So first module under the system diagnosis application is the script debugger. Using the script debugger, we can debug particular script. If there is any certain debug point is defined, we can particularly debug a script. So this debugging process I will show you in our scripting classes. There is another playlist where we are discussing all the scripting part. There we'll discuss this scripting debugger part. Next, the script tracer. Using the script tracer, we can trace that for particular situation which all script are running, so that we can trace that. Next, there is a component status, and then after that we have a progress worker. So progress worker is nothing but if there is any progress things, like is there any fixed script is running in background, or is there any script which is running in the background, we can check under this progress worker. Then we have a memory stats. So memory stats all about talk about the memory statistics. This is nothing but a log statement which will show you all these memory details. Next, we have a active transactions. So this active transaction is nothing but will show you that all the node transaction happening at that moment. So right now I have only one node for this demo environment. This is the node ID, and here I can see who or what user is doing what. So you can see that under this node admin is doing these things, and then this is the scheduler which is doing some background checks. So these all we can find out under this active transactions. Now we have a upgrade monitor. Using the upgrade monitor, we can identify like which version we are. So right now we are in that Utah version, and from which version we have upgraded, that also we can see here. So we can see that patch 4 right now we are from patch 1. So from patch 1 the system is upgraded. So upgrade is a very important factor. So every year ServiceNow upgrade themselves twice. So it is best practice to upgrade your environment on every upgrade that released by ServiceNow. So from where we can see that upgrade details, we can see the upgrade details from this upgrade monitor or maybe upgrade history. From there we can see that which version or which version we are, or from which version we have upgraded that, so that we can see that. Next, we have upgrade logs. Using this upgrade log, we can find out that all kind of logs that generated during the upgraded. Next, I'll talk about that email diagnosis. Using this email diagnosis, we can understand that our email server is correctly working fine or not. Like you can see there is a cross sign, and what is the cross sign? Email sending is cross. It means that for this environment, email sending is disabled. So it means that none of the mail is going to be sent for the particular user. Similarly, you can see there is a cross sign here for email receiving, which is disabled. So this ServiceNow instance cannot be received any mail. So there are various other checks like email queue, last send, uh, you know, uh, processing time, all these are checks. You can verify that if there any error happens, there will be a cross mark. You can verify that if there is any issue occurs during that email sending process. So you can verify under this email diagnosis. Next, we have a stats. So stats is a very important page whenever you go for an interview. Normally, your interviewer asks that where should I verify that which version we are in ServiceNow. So if they ask for which version we are in ServiceNow, you can say that we can go to the stats, and from the stats we can find out that. You can see the build name is Utah. It means that right now we are in the Utah release. When this release happened, what is the build tag, and then what is the instance name, the instance ID, node ID, and then instance status, and then IP address. All these system related information are available under the stats page, like which version we are, when we upgraded that, and all these stuffs. Also, you can see that your memory details like maximum memory capacity, database size, all these informations are available in this stats page. So all these system related statistics are available under this stats page. Now, if there is another module called slow event, if there is any event occurring and to process this event taking so much time, you can find out under slow events. There is also slow interactions. So here all will show that slow interaction, slow script. Is there any script which is running very slow? All these will be shown under this slow script. So when you are debugging your system, let's say that your system is not up to mark, it is getting slow, you can verify those debug or statistics methods. So that's all about this debugging process. Apart from that, you can debug the business rule, you can debug that cache, you can flush your cache, you can debug your NLQ, you can debug your SQL security rule. All these you can debug that. I'll talk about that debug security later, but you can see there are many other modules to debug that, debug time, debug matrix. There are many modules available to debugging that. Browser page time. So you can go through this module and you can find out that what the purpose of this module are. So these all module are purpose to debug particular application or particular instance, how much time it is taking, what is the normal time, and what is the current time they are giving. So that all you can debug from this debug module. Next, we'll talk about that user preferences. Let's say that some user are not able to see something, so you can check their user preferences. Let's go back to the service, then I'll show you that what is the user preferences. So in this demo instance, if I go back to the incident module or any module, particular module, so let's say that I'm in the incident module, and let's say that I do a particular things like I do the number equal to A to Z or Z to A. This will be stored, or maybe if I do some personalize or add this, right, add this some of these fields and log out and log in, this information will be remain same. Like next time when I log in, that all these settings that I have done for myself will be available where these are actually stored. So these all information are stored under this user preferences. If I go back to this user preferences module under the system administration, there is a user preferences where you can search with the particular username. So if I search with the particular username called system administrator, I can see that what all preferences they have set. So I can do a Z2A. So if I do the Z2A, you can see that I did a incident DB direction is descending order. It means that I did this value to descending order. So the next time when I log in that, system can show into that descending order. Now if I do the ascending order of this one, you can see that this value will be changing, and you can see the value is got empty. It means that this value is right now ascending order. Let's do another thing, like if I do the open by descending order at that moment, right, I'll do this open by descending order. This preference will be stored under this here. So you can see the value is DB order is opened at, and then direction is the descending order. Now if I do this ascending order, this value will be empty. So if I refresh that, this value of this order will be empty. So this way we know that, or the system store or system remember that what is your preference, right? For this particular user, these are the 205 is preferences. So there are a couple of entry present to the user preferences. In case you are not able to find out that any particular issue happening for particular user, you can check the user preferences, because if the issue is only exists for the particular user, you should verify that user preferences once, because under this user preferences, all the user their own preference are stored into this table. Now next thing is the ACL debug. So ACL debug, I mean using the ACL debug, we can debug particular ACL, like why this particular field is not showing, or what is the issue. Let me show you in this ServiceNow instance. So let's go back to this page here, and then let's impersonate that particular user. So if I impersonate this, so if I impersonate that end user, so let me impersonate an end user. So this is the end user, and now if we open the book module, so this is the book module, and then let's say that if I open this book, any of this book record, you can see the end user cannot modify none of this field except the state field, right? So they can modify, or they cannot modify other field except this state field, right? Why? Or if we want to know that how this is, or which ACL is actually blocking, we can debug that. To debug that, what do you have to do? You have to do in your non-prod environment. The first mechanism is that if you want to debug that, your method should be the non-prod environment. If you go back and here, if you type the debug, and if you see that under this this system diagnosis, there is a options called debug security rule. So we'll select that debug security rules. We'll check that, and then we'll impersonate that particular user. So let's say I will impersonate that particular user called end user, and go back to the book module. I'll go to this book module and open that book and open particular record. Once you open that, you can see there are various debug showing right now, right? So there are various debug is showing right now. The first thing you can see that this state field they can edit, but rest of the field they cannot edit, right? So if you click that, you can see they have read access. So you can see this read is true, this read is true, this read is true, but here this write is false, right? So these options have false. Why? Or which ACL is restricting? We can copy this one and then do Control F, and here we have find out the particular ACL. We can click this context, or there is a ACL called record u_book.start, which is restricting that. So you can find out this way. So you can simply click that, it will land to this particular ACL. But as you can see that this ACL u_book.start, which have the ITL role, and the user they don't have ITL role, they have end user role, and that's the reason they cannot actually able to edit that. Okay. So similarly, if you click here in this particular field, you can see that read is true and write is true. So because of that, they can read and write. Similarly, if I click this SN, right, we can be able to find out that there is a one rule which is restricting, that is nothing but record/u book.u_sn/, right. This is something which is restricting. We can copy this one and simply do a Control F, again find out, and then the same ACL is restricting there. So this way we can particularly debug particularly which ACL is restricting which field. Through this ACL debugger we can find out that. And after you complete all this debug process, make sure that you turn off this debugging option. So to turn off that, you have an options called disable all or disable debug. You can select that. So disable all, you can go here and click the disable all this debugging mode will be turned off after that. Next thing we will talk about the event queue. We know that what is event. Event is nothing but a object that can be generated from the script, from the workflow, from the flow. We can generate that event. And why we need to be find out that event queue? Because through the event normally we generate the emails, right? We generate the emails, or maybe we can generate that script action. We can call the scripting from this event, right? Now, if there is too many event in the process in the system and they are not unprocessed, in that case there could be a high chance to system got hanged. So let's say that there are too many event is in queued up and they are not able to process because of some reason. Then the system can be queued up. So where we can find out the event queue? Let's go back to the ServiceNow and see that. So here, if you type that event log in this left navigation, you will be able to find out that all this event which is generated last one day or maybe today, and here you can do that the processed wise, like you can select that processed is empty, and based on that you can find out that what all event are generated. And if these events are not processed properly, there should be definitely some reason which is causing the issue, which is not letting the event to process. So you can check that into the event logs. Similarly, once the event is generated, if it is triggering the notification, we can find out under this event email logs. There is one more module called email logs. Under this emails log, we can find out that what all emails are generated. You can see these are the email which is generated today and supposed to send particular user. So these are the user, they are supposed to receive the email. So under this emails log, you can find out all the emails which supposed to go to the actual user. So from there you can find out, identify the email and check that who is the recipient and how the email looks like that. We can particularly open one of this email, and even we can preview that email, how the email will be looks like that. So you can see I have opened the email log, one of the email log, and this emails is generated from this event. And if we click the preview email, we will be able to see that how the email will be received by the end user. The end user will be received this kind of mail in their mailbox. Email log we have discussed. Now we have a system log. So using the system logs, we can identify if there is any error happens, or if there is any information trying to show the system. We can see that under the system logs. So let's go back to the service. Here in the service now, if you type that logs, right, under this logs, you will be able to find out that there is a module called all. You can see under the system log there is a module called alls. If you click that, all these logs to the service now is showing right now, and there will be a label like information or error. So if I go and group by this label, you will be able to find out that there is some error happens to the system, there is some warning for the system. So as a system admin, you should go through these logs, what is happening. If there is any error generated into the logs table, we should review those error. Now we have a plugins. So plugins is nothing but, let's say that you have a ServiceNow environment, you have received that ServiceNow environment, and if you want to do some additional things which is available either in free provided by ServiceNow or paid by ServiceNow, you can install the plugins. So once you install the plugin, your ServiceNow capacity will be high. For example, you can install the major application, you can install that HRSD module. So you have to review those application, and then if you want to use that, you can use that. So once you install the plugin, your ServiceNow capacity will be high, little high, and then that will give you more power to see more application, more module. So let's go back to the ServiceNow and see how we can install the plugins. In this ServiceNow, if you type the plugins, and you will be able to find out that under system definition there is a module called plugins. This plugins is a additional things that you can install in your system. Some of the plugins are already installed by the system, some of the are automatically installed, and some of the plugins are inactive state. You need to be installed by yourself if you require that plugin. So once you install the plugin, there will be additional script, additional object will be installed in your system. For example, if you want to install this plugin account live event, you can just click the install button and this plugin will be installed. So make sure that you review that what plugin you are installing and what is that paid or free. So you can click the paid options. All these paid plugin will be visible here, and then make sure that you are installing that. So there are various plugins, like you go to the Play Store, right, in that mobile application, you go to the Play Store and you can install multiple application. Similarly, you can go to the plugins and you can install that. So similarly, in that mobile, when you install that particular application, they consume the memory. So if you install the plugins, they will started consuming that your ServiceNow resources. Last not the least, the ServiceNow certification. So if you have 6 month experience, or if you started the ServiceNow journey, you should complete your CSA application, CSA certification. So this CSA certification will give you that extra benefit when you are trying to switch your company, or if you are going for any interview, they will ask you that what all certification you have done. So as a beginner, you should complete this CSA certification. If you go through my complete series, there are many questions which will come from this series itself. So you can review those CSA dumps. There is a dumps available. You can review those dumps and you can go for the exams. There will be some certain charges, but if you are in corporate employee, you can discuss your current company that if they are refunding that amount to you or not. So the first certification for the ServiceNow is the CSA. Then there is application certification called CAD, Certified of Application Developer, and there are many more certifications are available. So first certification is the CSA. So if you are a beginner, your first preference will be CSA. You should complete the CSA certification. After that, you should complete the CAD certification. And there are many more certification available to the service now. You should do that. So when you have started your journey, you should complete the CSA certification at least after 6 months of the hands-on experience. So that's it for today's sessions. I hope you enjoyed the sessions. Thank you very much. Have a great day.